All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 70 of the podcast with SGN and J Flow of FoosGoneEducated. We talked about their new book called This Fool, 7 Lessons for Burros and Bag Chasers. And I really love what they're doing to help the community better themselves through writing, speaking, and just social media. And hopefully you enjoy this. But before you do, like the video, comment down below because it helps out with the channel and the podcast. So hopefully you enjoy this, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Nah, thank you for taking on that challenge with us, dude. We appreciate it.
Dude, I want to ask how you ended up finding the podcast as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, bro. I'm very active on social media in terms of like I follow hashtags and I follow specific artists. I believe I came across your podcast through a mutual connection. I think it's a rapper by the name of Contra.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your stuff on his page and I was like, oh, this looks dope. So then I checked you out and I watched a couple of your episodes, I think with George, or I forget his last name, Braza.
Oh, okay. George Braza. Yeah.
George
Gerard.
Braza.
Gerard.
Or Gerard, excuse me. Gerard Braza. And Chris. I also watched your Chris
the Thrillist.
Yeah. So I peeped you out first. I was like, let me see homie's vibe. And I was like, oh, this dude's dope. Like you're on some like I don't know. It seems like you're building with your homies, right? Like you interview a lot of your homies who are like either musicians or some type of creatives. But you're also kind of building your creative outlet as a podcaster, creator, etc. So I was like, this sounds like someone dope to connect with. Like we seem to be on the same wavelength, you know?
100%. I feel like right now, at least where I'm at in Oxnard, there's so many artists that has sprung through the the whole COVID pandemic. And like that, I feel like that forced, or it made people sit back and think about what they really want to do. And through that, a lot of just musicians came through that. And like, I just have the opportunity to just interview them, just sit down with them.
Yeah. No, it's dope, bro. It's dope. I love what you're doing. And it's evident that you're very serious about the craft. I see you got like the multiple camera angles, you got your sound on point. So I respect it, dude. I respect it. I salute it.
Appreciate it. And I was going through your guys' Instagram as well, the FoosGoneEducated Instagram. And dude, okay. I was getting inspired, bro. I was getting inspired by just the palabra of the day, freaking. Hey, I was legit getting inspired. So that's very, very. I love what you guys are doing as well.
Thank you, bro. We appreciate that.
Hey, that's cool, bro, because like we're just being authentically and genuinely ourselves, like everything we do, everything we show, it's no different than what we would do with our homies in person. So I think it's really cool that we get to gravitate towards one another on a genuine tip, on a genuine tip. And I always really appreciate an authentic connection. So I'm very grateful for that.
Facts, bro. Anything that feels genuine and raw and honest, like that's it's based off of intuition. Like you can feel it pretty much. You can feel the genuineness.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you guys are in LA? Both of you guys?
Yeah, pretty much, bro. So Jesus is located in southeast Los Angeles, and I'm in the northeast Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley. So we're both he's more LA than I am, but we're still LA based.
Okay. And how did you guys connect? As far as like, did you guys was there a certain moment where you guys like, oh shit, what's going on here? What is that? Oh, okay, my bad. Was there a certain moment you guys just kind of had the idea of making a book, or just a page? How did it start?
Excellent question. Do you want to tackle that, Jesus? You want me to go for it?
No, you got it. No, you got it.
All right. So we actually met as educators in the city of Watts. It's a neighborhood in South Los Angeles, and it was our first year teaching. And we realized that we had many common interests and goals, And chief among those was this idea of leaving a legacy for a younger generation, specifically around healing and literacy and striving to educate ourselves to self-improve due to the fact that in our communities in the inner city, often there's a lot of ignorance. So we were like, why don't we become part of the like anti-ignorance movement, if you will?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure that started with that inner self work that you guys, your journey, guys, and our journey started doing the self work ourselves. So how, like, was there a certain moment for you guys where was it a turning point, or was it like a slow, gradual process of like, I want to better myself, I want to become a better version of myself every day? Like, was there a moment that switch happened, or was it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll go first, and I'll pass the mic to my bro, Jesus. For me, that moment was definitely dropping out of New York University. So I'm a doctoral program dropout. And that was kind of the first time. You're a hip hop head, right? So I'm sure you've heard the Far Side's "Can't Keep Running Away," when that bar when he's like, "There comes a time in every man's life when he's got to handle shit upon his own." That was basically my moment. You know what I mean? Like, I had to drop out for my mental health and for personal reasons. And I had to face that because I was on a full ride scholarship at New York University, living in New York City, and then having to come back like home basically to my parents' couch and be like, I'm a college graduate with all this potential, but with all these kind of personal challenges. Where do I go from here? It was a tough pill to swallow for me personally and professionally. So I would say that was what sparked my journey. And I'm still doing it today. So that was 2014 for me. So I'll leave it at that and I'll pass it on to my bro.
That's a great question, bro. And I think it's a little bit of everything. Everything kind of seems kind of gradual, right? I mean, I know that some people kind of go through these like very like radical situations, and for me, I think it's been a very slow process. And when I look at my childhood, when I look at like my late teens, when I look at my early 20s and now my late 20s, it kind of seems like there's been a common thread amongst it. But I think that like in the year 2016, for the first time, I really tried to take accountability for like hurting people. And it was tough, bro. It was really, really tough, man, because before that, I was like woke. And so I had like this self-righteousness to me where like I wanted to point out everything that was wrong with society, but somehow I wouldn't like look at myself. So I kind of made that turning point in like 2016. I started practicing a lot of like uh, healing circles, which are like indigenous based, indigenous to the Americas. And what that space did to me, it allowed me to see the perspective of older males, and seeing all of their mistakes and being able to reflect in that manner where it's like you speak from the heart, you listen from the heart. um, it allowed me the perspective to realize that I was not who I thought I was, right? So everything kind of circles back to this idea of like knowing thyself, and like knowing who you are, and not being afraid to experiment with that, and along the way figuring out that process. And so like healing, knowing yourself, all of these things are in that same circle of life. um, and so again, to answer the question, it was taking accountability, or having the courage to it was having the courage to take accountability for hurting people that I love, whether it was a partner, whether it was my mom, my sister, and so on. So eventually it's just you got to keep it real with yourself. And so I decided that I was going to keep it real with myself, and keep myself accountable. And you can't really hold yourself accountable unless you have some type of like support group. So that circle was my support group, and friends like SJN were my support group, and other people like that.
Mm. Yeah, I actually have a know thyself tatted right here. It was from the movie The Matrix, right? Right when Neo meets the freaking Oracle, and it's like right there. I had to get that tatted.
Fuck yeah, that's sick.
But yeah, I mean, for me, my journey, and talking about being educated, for being in school growing up, I realized that it's good in a sense, but then also it's, you know, they really don't teach you stuff that you really need to learn. I feel like, you know, after you graduate from school, like, you know, stocks, like they do teach you stocks, but they don't go in depth with that. You know, stocks, how to pay your taxes, just stuff. I don't know. I feel like being in school is kind of like a like an indoctrination in a sense.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, it very much is.
I'll go for it.
Sorry about that. I think that's the biggest issue with Zoom, right? Is that sometimes you're just like you kind of interrupt people, but you know we're skilled enough to respect it. But yeah, bro, like, school is 100%, you know, a system of indoctrination. And I think it actually kind of robs most people of like the agency that like you're born with, right? Like the gift that you're born with, because school for a long time, maybe at least 100 years, has been designed around kind of like one model, right? And I think we all understand that we're all quite different. So we use this one model and we try to push everyone through this model. We end up killing most of what should be brilliance. And then the people who do make it, either they fit that model and they're gonna do great things, or the rest end up on this like kind of like this internal survival for the rest of their lives because they've been scarred. You know, it's trauma. School is creating this perpetual sense of trauma. Why do you think that I've never heard one rapper that doesn't talk shit about like their high school teacher. You know what I'm saying? Because they have all this shit to say, and it's like it's true. You know, like they're scarred. They're opening up and they're sharing their wounds through their music. And you're absolutely right, bro. So like school has to change, education has to change. But one thing that I do love about education is that it serves as a vehicle for change. But I think schools are not doing a good job of it. So you either educate yourself or you have a system around you that can educate you, enlighten you, teach you about business, teach you about love, teach you about all the things in life that matter, not just money, right? But everything else around it.
Facts.
Yeah, I have a similar take. Thank you for sharing that. I also feel as though there is a difference between schooling and education, right? So schooling is basically the process of attending a physical space and just going through the motions of sitting down, taking a class, receiving input from the teacher, and then you do some type of output, and that's what it is. Right? It's almost like they're just depositing information into our brains, we're spitting it back, and it's a very kind of monotone process. And then I believe there's education, like a true education, where you get to inquire, you get to learn, you get to explore ideas. And sometimes the best education comes by our own curiosity, right? Like everything that we explore in a self-taught manner, right? In an autodidactic way. So for me, I don't really knock school because I do believe that school has its place in society in terms of like helping us to socialize. But I do understand that there are a lot of systemic issues and a lot of things that are wrong with the K through 12 education system, public education system specifically, and colleges as well. Like I graduated college having no idea what career I was going to end up doing. I just knew I had a degree and I was excited and I thought I was going to make $1 million upon graduation, you know, and here we are, you know. So education versus schooling, big difference.
Facts. What's that one quote? It's a formal education will make you a living, but a self-education will earn you a fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any books that or people that you've studied that stand out as far as, you know, just learning about the self or?
Yeah. No, that's a yet another powerful question. Wow, are there any books? We're avid readers, bro. We're kind of maniacs when it comes to reading.
Yeah.
I pride myself in being one of the most read fools in my circle. And that's a reputation that I strive to maintain throughout the years. And I strive to be like Kobe with it, where like you can't catch up to me because I'm gonna read like a book a week, you know. But all of
Are you on that Ty Lopez?
On that Ty Lopez,
so reading a book a day.
Oh, damn? I don't know about a day. That's wild. I could do a book a week. I don't know about a day, but good for him. I think. As far as, are you asking as far as like personal growth or financial literacy or both?
Yeah, just any books that stand out. Yeah, personal growth or financial literacy.
Yeah, for sure. So just off the top of my head, I think one of the most powerful books I read early on in my journey was the autobiography of Malcolm X. That was one of the first books that really kind of spoke to me just because of how raw and real he was as a speaker, as a thinker. As a revolutionary. That was one that stood out to me. That wasn't really a personal growth book, but it was just more, I guess it was a personal growth book in some ways, because you get to witness his journey, right? Like his evolution as a man. Bell Hooks, All About Love, Man, Masculinity, and Love. Those are two classics. My personal favorite personal growth book would be The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That's another classic. Most recently, I read Atomic Habits, The Psychology of Money. Yeah, there's a ton. There's so much out there. I'll just leave it. I'll leave it at that for now. Those are ones that stand out to me most recently.
For sure.
I'll pass it to Foos.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions, bro, because like it makes your library that much more rich, right? Like when you share yours, like I'm gonna search it up, and like I might fuck around and have like 20 books that I haven't opened up, but it's gonna be right there. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna get to it eventually. So for me, dog, I really love A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Because it really speaks to this idea of methods of control, right? And systems, and like anything that describes the quote unquote matrix, I think is a great way to share with people succinctly what's kind of going on, right? Like everyone can get deeper and deeper and deeper, and sometimes the deeper you get, the more confusing you could get for like the masses, right?
Down the rabbit hole.
Sometimes people like us, we're therapizing like this hole, right, for years, and so like we're grappling with it. We think we have a sense of what's going on, and then it gets deeper, right? So then sometimes I could look back up and say, hey, well, you guys don't see the depth that I know. But then, do I really know how deep it goes? I don't. But books like that really introduce you, right, to this idea, right? Kind of like Plato's allegorical cave, right? The things of this nature. Literature that expounds upon that is some of my favorite, bro, because it's what opens your mind to see beyond what is before us. And Aldous Huxley was a brilliant force for that, you know? Someone who on their deathbed asked for LSD, right? Like in this transition from this realm to the next, and to understand that like there's like connections and beyond, I think are super, super important. So that book, man, it did wonders for me. Let me see, what's another really cool book that I've read? From an ethical standpoint, I would say that like I grew up in a church, so the Bible's crazy as fuck, you know, whether you're religious or not, but like it's got all these crazy stories, but it taught me like a basic tenet of what's wrong and what's not, right? So like from a very early age, I knew that I shouldn't steal. Did I still steal? Absolutely, right? I knew that I shouldn't do a lot of things. So I think from a ethical standpoint, it taught me a lot about like good and bad, and like of course that this is like old knowledge, but at the same time, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. So I do love like old knowledge. I think it's important. I think like honoring your ancestors is important. I think looking towards the past to see to look towards the future is also important. So I would say those two books have really shaped me. There's also this dude named damn, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he wrote The Power of Now. Oh, Eckhart Tolle.
Oh
Eckhart
yeah,
Tolle,
yeah.
dude. His theme on ego changed my life. Like
Mm.
as a Leo, like I have a strong ego. Like this helps me navigate life. Also, growing up through a lot of trauma, like you learn to develop an ego to be able to defend yourself. But what according to Eckhart, like as long as the ego is your main is driving your vehicle, like you're never gonna be able to experience the power of now, right? And the power of now is like really like centering myself in the moment and being like, I'm here with Branden, I'm here with Angel, and I know there's all these like different energies going on, and they're like they can very quickly take away my attention. But this right now, this power to be here with y'all is what's like most important. And I think like that shit is super powerful, bro, because life is crazy, man. Life is hella crazy. It's hectic. And there's so much violence, there's so much like negativity that all of those things can easily influence us to become anxious, to become depressed, to experience life in a very negative way. But if we're able to like root ourselves in this moment and not be confused by our inner ego, I think we have a stronger chance of feeling joy, of being happy, of just being in the now.
Facts, bro. Yeah, man. Just yeah, staying in the present and looking towards the future and not getting stuck in the past. I feel like that's very important. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, you guys grew up in LA, and you talked a little bit about violence and how does that let me see, does that shape some of your guys' philosophy or like surrounding the the big food community? Like how did you guys end up creating this Food's Gone Educated?
Absolutely, bro. Great inquiry. I think for us, it became a matter of we wanted to present an alternative shade of knowing, of epistemology, of being within our community, because of how one-dimensional oftentimes it can get.
Yeah.
Especially if you grew up in the hood, right? Like it's almost like you're compelled or you feel forced to be one type of food, right? One type of person, and we don't believe in that. We don't believe in boxing ourselves into like, this is who I am. This is the only thing I do. Like, if I want to be a fucking skater, I'm gonna be a skater, right? If I want to be a punk rocker, hip hopper, that's what I'm going to be. And so for us, we see these different food movements, right? Like the food community, Food's Gone Wild, so on and so forth, which are dope, right? They're doing their thing. They're presenting entertainment, news, etc. But we're like, yo, like we also got educated foods in our community. We have creatives. We're more than just entertainers, right? Even though entertainment has an important space in our cultura, we are also more than that. There are other ways of being, and we wanted to present that to the kids, at least the ones that we have influence over in our community, so that they realize that there isn't just one way to be a food. There isn't, like, don't be a one-dimensional food, right? That's our thing, right? Don't be a one-trick pony. Don't be a one-dimensional food, because one-dimensional foods, they don't really get the most out of life, right? You want to collaborate with people from different cultures, different walks of life, right? Different communities, and that's what we're about. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of my piece. That's one of the major reasons why when Jesus came up with the name Food's Gone Educated for our collective work, I was like, bro, that's badass. Like, let's do it. I loved it. So that's just a little piece of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's an obvious play on Food's Gone Wild, but again, right, like sometimes you overly abuse that caricature of like hey, fool, let me check your socks, sock check, and like Modelo time, and whatever the fuck else bullshit, you know. But
Yeah.
fucking broken windows, like, you know, there's all these like different things they're fucking hilarious, and like they're monumental culturally speaking, but it's always on some stupid shit. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even though I love that shit as a like as something hilarious and comedic, the problem is the problem stems from the way that the rest of society that doesn't know the culture and understands that it's for comedic purposes begins to see that as like the totality of what we are. You know, and I think when we do Fools Not Educated, I'm not minimizing everybody else. I'm just saying like, yo, like there's nerds too, you know. There's fools that like to read books and shit. You know what I'm saying? There's fools that like to play chess. Like, and we're all part of the community, you know. And so it's just kind of like we're sharing our version of the story. We're highlighting it. And in terms of violence, like I mean, violence seems to be a key component of the human experience, historically speaking, and as well as speaking in the now. And so, um, from one standpoint, I don't think that all violence is equal. I think that, like, for example, um, colonized people um, defending themselves. I don't necessarily equate that to violence. I would equate that more to like self-defense. So we see that, right? And I would say that like Fools Gone Educated is an act of self-defense, but from a philosophical standpoint, right? It's like the reason why people get abused left and right is because we're not educated and we don't have any sort of power in society. And so when we act in these ways, we're trying to empower ourselves. We're trying to empower everybody. We're trying to escape like the colonial mindset, which is embedded in every aspect of our lives, whether it's in our educational systems, whether it's in our families, in the way that we treat each other, whether it's in finances, right? Not being able to own anything, instead being owned by the banks and kind of living these perpetual lives as like enslaved people to these institutions that don't give back to our environments, and these environments linking back to violence. Like, yo, like it's nothing but violence sometimes. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So for us to really step up and be like, you know what, dog, like we need to do something different. And reading and education is always going to be part of that difference. Oh, here's another book that ties into the same concept, like the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. Like, you
Oh,
know what I'm saying? Like here's a dude, bro, genius. You know what I'm saying? When you read his shit, you're like, holy fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he had little white kids in the streets teach him how to read after the mistress of his dad was kind of teaching him like the alphabet, right? So like they made a big mistake, you know? And I always think about my childhood. I'm like, damn, bro, I feel like the system fucked up with me. They should have never taught me how to read. You know what I mean?
well, yeah. And I think you guys know about I think it's Socrates, how he was put to death. He was sentenced to death for have questioning the youth.
Yeah, bro. For the quick question, Brandon. It says that we have less than a minute. Are we about to
Yeah,
get locked, kicked
I
off?
I was gonna bring that up right now. We might have to stop, and then I'll make another chat, and then I'll invite you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to host, bro? I have
Yeah,
unlimited.
yeah. Please do that.
Okay.
Can you make me host, or do we just have to log out and have to send you
How
an
do I
invite?
do that? Let me see.
There we go.
Let's go, baby. All right, we are back.
Hey, bro, real quick, does it help if we mute ourselves when we don't have the mic?
I don't think it matters either way. I think we should be good.
Okay.
Cool. One point that I wanted to bring up as well, and we were talking about, Jesus was talking about just being uneducated, and I was reading Logic's book, his memoir, and he mentions that just being in the hood, It's a cycle of ignorance that it's like you don't know that you don't know.
That's super facts, bro. That's super facts. I think so. As a hood baby, as a self-proclaimed ghetto nerd, like I love the hood in the sense that it helped to make me who I am, right? It taught me many survival skills. It taught me a lot of things that you have to grow up fast, right? In the hood.
Facts.
But the problem with growing up in the hood is that you can only survive in the hood. You know what I mean? You really rarely, if ever, do you learn skills that you can. I mean, you do learn some things, right? But it's. I think for me, it was more of like, yeah, a lot of the ignorance, a lot of man. I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, there's just a lot of trauma, bro, growing up in the hood. And I think for us, it's more a thing where like we don't want to knock the hood because I think there's a lot. There are a lot of great people that come out of the hood. Some of our favorite artists are from the projects, right?
Facts.
From the inner city. Some of our favorite writers, some of our favorite athletes, so on and so forth. But there is this cycle of violence, this cycle of poverty, bro, like cycles of poverty. Like I literally know I have students, I have friends and family like that are like generations in the projects, you know, and oftentimes it's just not knowing how to navigate educational systems, financial systems, and other systems that keeps you in that loop, in the matrix, and you can never get out. And so you begin to normalize that, right? You just normalize like being a certain way, being violent or being ignorant or being this and that. And it breaks my heart to see people basically throw their lives away in different ways. So there's a lot that could be said about that, but I'll pass it on to my bro, Jesus.
Was there a specific question, or were you guys just kind of making like commentary about it?
Yeah, we're just making commentary.
I mean, I think I want to be very like transparent in that I don't put people down, nor do I point fingers at like my people. I've been in a lot of uncomfortable situations where I know, like, I'm conscious of something wrong going on in the family in the streets, but I've also learned that like there's certain laws, there's certain things, right? Like I guess you could say like street code that is not to be violated, as well as like family codes, right? So it's this very interesting dynamic between like reality, truth, it shifts depending on like where you're situated. And so there's all this wealth of knowledge in the streets that the three of us can never touch or understand. And so it has its own brilliance, it has its own genius. And so I just like SGN said, you know, like I'm not here to knock it down or just make it seem like I'm better. I'm not better than nobody. I'm just another cat that happened to engage with different perspectives. But I'm also somebody who cares, you know, and so it just so happens that my way of caring is wanting to be an educator. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of like those preachers that annoy everybody on Sunday. They're in the corner fucking screaming at everybody, and everyone's like, dude, these guys are fucking weirdos. But from their perspective, they truly care about society, and they think that everyone's gonna end up in hell, and they want for them to give up their lives to Jesus Christ to be like saved from the eternity, right, of like eternal damnation and so on and so forth. And so I say all of that just to say like everything is very, very messy, and so is the hood, and it's not perfect. But I truly also believe that it's those hardships that create these fucking amazing, beautiful people. So as much as I don't want people to struggle in life and have better lives, we wouldn't have our favorite people, our favorite comedians, our favorite rappers, our favorite singers, our favorite, athletes. They are that because of some fundamental crazy ass upbringing. So it kind of has its place in society as well.
Mm. And SGN, you mentioned earlier about traveling and stuff and experiencing new cultures and different, experiencing different cultures. And I do think that's very important to realize that, where you're at is not where there's so much more to it. There's so much more to, culture wise, food wise, everything. There's so much more to more than where you're at this specific moment.
Yeah, bro, absolutely. And that's one of the main reasons that I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but we're educators. So we work with high school students. And many of the students we serve are like first generation students, right? So they would be first gen and their families to attend college. And so going back to your point of traveling, I tell students like, bro, go to college for the experience. Like, just go for the experience. Like you're basically going to meet a microcosm of the world on your campus, or a slice of earth, basically, right? And I give them the example of my experience at Cal State Northridge, where my roommate was a fifth generation Mexican American from Riverside who didn't speak Spanish. My other roommate was a Colombian kid, first gen. And then my other roommate was a Lithuanian Australian dude. And I'm like, bro, like here we are, and we're all hip hop heads. You know what I mean? And I'm a Salvi fool from LA, and we're literally here in the same apartment, listening to Loot Pack and Madlib and MF Doom.
Hey,
you know what I mean? And that's what it was. And so for me, yes, like become culturally, become interested and engage with different cultures. Become culturally adept. Some of my greatest homies were like my coolest homies, as far as like just objectively cool, who were onto new shit and dope shit, were Filipinos. Like a Filipino put me up on hip hop. You know what I mean? I'll never forget that. Or like on SB Dunks. You know what I mean? Like you need your homies from different cultures, different ethnicities, because it'll expand your worldview. And ultimately, I think that's how we build empathy and compassion, bro. Like we live in a society, dog, where like it's like, oh, look at those white kids, or look at those black kids, look at those Asian kids, look at those Mexican kids, right? Like it's very easy to judge another culture because they move or think or speak differently than we do. However, if you sit down and chop it up with them at a local taco spot, you may realize that y'all have more in common than you think. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at culture, as like, I love my culture. What can I learn from your culture? Right? Let's build. Like I view it as like, these are intersections, right? We have intersections, and culture. That's why we put our culture up front. That's why we're FoosGoneEducated. We believe in being culturally responsive, and not just from a nationality standpoint, but like I think of culture through an anthropological standpoint, bro. Like through like punk rock, like hip hop, skate culture,
exactly,
nerd culture. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my piece regarding culture, bro, and traveling and getting to know people, get to know everyone. That's what I did as a kid.
Dude, well said. We do, in fact, live in a society. I'm just kidding. Dude, that's beautiful, man. Like moving around and getting to know other people, and that point about building empathy for each other, that's fucking facts, bro. I mean, look, I came up in an environment where there's probably around like 98% Mexicans. And so that also shields you, right, from all these different demographics. And yeah, they have some bullshit to say about every other group, just like a lot of other groups around the world. And sometimes that seeps into who you are. So I had my own biases against different groups. And when I got to East LA College, that was the first time that I got to really like interact with a larger amount of Black folks. And we started playing football. We started interacting. I would give Foos a ride from my school to because I'm from Huntington Park, which is really close to South Central. There were some Black folks from Jefferson High that I would give rights to. And through all that process, I ended up realizing, I was like, dude, why did I ever have all of these little weird biases that were inside of me, for sure, right? Because even though I wouldn't verbally say shit, because it was fucking already like 2011, and like it would be just stupid to say shit that you shouldn't be saying, but I would think things, right? And it's this proximity to other groups that allows us to heal all this fucking bullshit that's passed down, right? Like, well, of course, we understand that racism exists at an institutional and structural level, but from the personal level, the reason why it's still around is because people just keep sharing it, and there's kids around and they're listening to this, and they're like, well, this must be part of life. It doesn't mean that these kids are like evil for any reason. We're literal machines, and we're programmable, and we're being fed all these ways of life. You know, in the Don Miguel Ruiz of looking at it, he would say it's a dream, right? This is a huge dream state, and everyone has their own little dream, and our dreams feed into each other, right? From a more like Greco philosophical standpoint, we could say it's more of either philosophy, or you can say it's more of a program, right? And so, like, the reality of the situation is that our environments have clear impacts on who we are, how we act, and how we're going to treat others. So changing the material realities around us has to be amongst our priorities. Otherwise, we can depend on, our own lives never really changing.
And also, I guess adding on to what you're saying about, Don Miguel Ruiz, I think it was the Master of the Self, when he said that we become domesticated, and he used the example of his grandma telling him to keep eating when he's full, and it's like I feel like through our environment we're domesticated in that sense of, through racism or through whatever it is. It's I feel like it's realizing the knowledge of the self. I don't know. I think it's just realizing that we are being domesticated.
Absolutely, bro. One of the core, I think, or some of the core philosophies that I strive to stand by are those that were taught to me in the Four Agreements, right, by Don Miguel Ruiz. I haven't read The Mastery of Self. But I think that's one of the most powerful points or ideas that I've ever had the privilege of learning in my life, is this idea that, like, we shouldn't attach ourselves to institutions, to people, to ideologies. We should attach ourselves to principles, right? To principles or values that we stand on. Because when you put your authentic principles and values out there, what you're going to realize is that you will attract that same energy, right? Which is why they say, don't be fake, right? Be your authentic self. Because if you start putting up a fake front, then you're going to attract that type of person. And then suddenly you're living like a fake reality, right? Like you build this whole sort of like program matrix life. You're like, oh shit, like this isn't who I want to be. This is but this is who I've become, right? So for me, and I read that, actually, I don't know if y'all read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but Stephen Covey actually argues that, right? That's one of his core tenets, is that don't attach yourself to schools. Don't attach yourself to friends. Don't attach yourself to girlfriends. Don't attach yourself to money. Don't attach yourself to ideology. Don't attach yourself to politics. He goes through this whole list. He's like, attach yourself to principles and values, because that's what's not going to fail you in the end. People will fail you, right? Your friends will fail you. Your family sometimes will fail you, but your philosophies won't. And that to me has been a really difficult lesson as I evolve, as I grow, right? And people still want to see you as like 2012 you, but you're like, bro, this is 2022 me. Like, I'm an entirely new person. Like, you tell me I changed, I say I evolved. You know what I mean? And I think that's the challenge, right? Is being your authentic self, believing in those not just believing in those core principles, but actually making sure that your actions are aligned to your words, right? Being impeccable with your word, right? Which is the first agreement, right? Be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I still struggle with that one. So anyways, that's just my piece regarding that point.
Sheesh. All right.
I want
bars. Hey, did you guys ever get into like rapping and stuff?
I don't know about Jesus. You got a mixtape I actually know about, big dog? Nah, man, I never rapped. I used to make beats, bro. Like I was like a super adolescent, like Fruity Loops producer, like back in 2000, like 8 or something, or not even 8, bro, like circa 05, 06. The homie downloaded Fruity Loops for me. He put it on my computer, and I used to make beats and sell them to the homies. But as far as rapping, I did not. I used to do some spoken word poetry though in college. Because I've always been fascinated and infatuated and informally educated by hip hop, bro. I love hip hop culture. It gave me an identity, you know. So I would identify in some ways as a poet. I'm mostly a writer though, but definitely not hip hop. We weren't that cool, bro. We weren't that cool. You know what I mean? Like fools that drop their mixtapes. Like I believe you're a musician too, right, Branden?
Yeah, I actually do produce on Fruity Loops as well.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Dope. No, bro, my beats were like super nursery rhyme type beats, bro. Like it wasn't nothing like I wasn't sampling or anything. You know what I mean? It was like I think I sold my first beat to the homie Ali for $13, bro.
Oh,
for
dang.
$13. But nah, no mixtape over here, sir.
And I seen J Flow. I actually wanted to ask you. It seems like more of a spoken word, but I just wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, to be honest, bro, I think I was always too scared to try because I did meet a lot of brilliant poets, from like maybe high school, college, and forward. And so I had to be kind of like honest and just be like, I can't, I'm just like, there was a lot of fear, especially with like the memorization of like your bars. I think that was my biggest challenge, is that I've never been much of a rote memorizer. And I think it does make a difference if you do your own shit. But like, funnily enough, when I reread my book, I'm like, what the fuck? I said this shit? Like, So like, I think my biggest problem would not be the creation of like writing. I think the writing part, like it kind of comes and it flows, hence the J flow. But like I think that like that pressure, you feel me? Like the nerves of like being on a stage and shit, and like everyone's like watching you, and then like there's just all these different like dynamics that I think have always kind of held me back. But I will say this: there's this spot, this fucking beautiful spot. It's called Alivio Open Mic. It's I would say, in my humble opinion, it's the dopest like people's mic slash like pop up slash art spot in all of the Southeast LA area. And there's like little kids could go up there and perform and sing, high school people and people up to whatever age. And they closed it down for a while because of COVID. But I would go before and I would support people and I would meet a lot of beautiful people. But this time around, I think I'm gonna go up there. I think I'm gonna go up there and spit a little whatever, whatever feels right. So yeah.
That's amazing. What was it called? I actually want to write that down. What was it called again?
It's Alivio Open Mic. It's by this fucking profound dude, bro. Eric. I forgot his last name. Itzel, I think. He's fucking brilliant, bro. He's a fucking English teacher out there in Maywood, and like his poetry is fucking legit, man. Like, again, one of these dudes that fucking can memorize what seems like a whole fucking book, and with power, man. And that's the beauty, bro. That's the beauty, and this is why I do think that the hood is so remarkable, you know, when like people like that can come out of it, be a teacher in the hood, create a space like that, and a safe space, you know. And I put that in quotations because they are very like, they're a little bit on the woke side, where, you know, they're just inclusive about everything. So it wouldn't be cool with like people coming in there and like talking shit about like trans people or whatever in the name of like, you know, fucking free speech. And like, I'm a little bit more on the side of like, I'm down for free speech as long as we're kind of respectful. But that space they try to make it as safe as possible, just because, you know, there is a lot of queer brown folk, you know, in the hood that otherwise have always been pretty much marginalized by what, you know, like people that look like me, you know what I'm saying? So it's important for those spaces to uphold their agreements, right? And so if a fool doesn't wanna if a fool thinks that's corny, then I think you're missing out, you know, because there's a real love there, and it's a badass place. I'll say that much.
And okay, so when you guys were starting the process of writing the your guys' book, did you guys have prior experience of writing a book, or was this the first time you guys had sat down and wrote a book?
So we definitely had not written a book prior, but I have experience with publishing. So I'm a multi-published academic author. So I've published my research on street skateboarding culture in Latinos and Education Encyclopedia and Academia. I also published an essay with world-renowned author Luis Rodriguez in one of his books. So I had some experience. I wouldn't say extensive experience, but I was very familiar with the writing, editing, revising, drafting, and just going over and over and over and over process. And so, and Jesus, who's a brilliant writer, is obviously well read and enjoys the writing process. And so I think it made sense. It was time. So when COVID hit, we were like, here we go. Like our commutes were done temporarily, right? We got to work from home for a little over a year. So that's really what it came down to. It wasn't really like, did we want to sit down and make the time to, you know, write a few hours a day for like the next 12 months, right? It was more like, we have the time. Like, if we don't do this now, it's like now or never, right? That's how it felt.
Damn. Oh, shit.
I think we lost Jesus. He'll be back.
All right. And, dang, man, because what did you guys have like a schedule that you guys were working off of, or was it just whenever you guys had the time?
Yeah, bro, it was, we definitely, we have different workflows, right? I think everyone does, right? But we just made the commitment to meet several times per week. So we would set certain goals. Like our initial goal, I think, was like, okay, let's just write thematic essays. That's how we started the book. Like, let's discuss our trauma, our pain, critical turning points in our lives, and let's make it like theme based. So we would just write thematic essays, and let's say, all right, bro, by Saturday, like let's meet at 9 a.m. from like 9 to 12, and let's see like how many essays you have written. Like, you give me feedback, I'll give you feedback. So we definitely had a weekly schedule going where we would meet and discuss where we were at in the writing process. And it was just very organic, bro. It was like a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth as to what would become ultimately this Food 7 Lessons, Burros, and Bag Chasers. But yeah, there was a lot of hours, a lot of late nights, a lot of phone calls, text messages, emails, a lot of that.
And how did the outline come? You said you started off with your trauma. How did just the rest of the outline, as far as the organization of the book?
Yeah, excellent question. So in regards to the organization of the book and the structure of the book, we really wanted to emulate, we wanted to emulate and innovate. So let me explain what I mean by that. We wanted to emulate like the 4 agreements, the 7 habits of highly effective people. Like we wanted to emulate self-help and personal growth because we understand that's a huge market that's already there. Like we don't need to reinvent the market. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But we wanted to innovate in our twist and making it for fools, right? That was kind of our twist, is like self-help for fools. Kind of comedic, kind of funny, like, hey, let's talk about our trauma. Funny, not funny, but let's just talk about it, right? So the way we organized it was from most important life lesson to well, not most important to least important, but like from most critical in terms of timely urgency to like the natural progression of where we go next, which is why chapter 1 is embrace your trauma. So we argue in our book that fools that don't deal with their trauma are bound to self-destruct or destroy their communities, because you're basically holding a bomb in your hand at all times, right? Like anything can trigger you. You're a ticking time bomb, right? You're a reckless driver when you don't deal with your trauma, especially deep trauma, right? And so that's chapter 1. That off top. We were like, if you do anything from this book, dog, is deal with your trauma. You know what I mean? Like fucking go to therapy, go to the fucking gym, go run, go fight them demons by weightlifting, do something, but deal with your trauma. So that's how we kind of structured it. Like from most important, I don't want to use like the most important to least important spectrum, but like from most important to, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, but that's how we started, like from most urgent to least urgent, I guess. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, Jesus, I think you're back, bro. The question was, sorry to interrupt you, Branden.
Oh, no, yeah. I was just going to mention that when we left, I had asked that what was the process for you guys as far as writing the book that you guys what is it, 7 burros and
hey, 7 burros, I got you, bro. This fool, 7 lessons for burros and bag chasers.
hey, but sometimes it is 7 burros just chilling together.
7 fools and 7 burros.
So like, you know, the process, man, the process. I love the process. It's like, my favorite part was like writing, which is like very much like you know, like fucking, it feels so fucking good, bro. Like for me, writing is, I guess, healing, you know. It's like therapy. It's like seeing myself in the mirror and just being honest with myself, like being transparent, and like sometimes it hurts. And you know what I figure, bro, is like when I feel the most angry or when I feel the most pain, that's probably the best time. Not always, you know, because joy should be illustrated through words as well. But personally, like, you know, we're writing a second book and there's a couple chapters in there where I'm like talking shit, you know, and it's just like, but I'm at the end of the shit talking, I'm like, yo, I know you might be mad at me right now, but I'm really talking to myself, you know. And so that's it. That's how I get out of like a potential fight. It's like, skirt, hey, I'm talking shit to myself, you know. But if the shoe fits, then hey, maybe you should like consider it. Yeah, dude, organization is also key. But my personality is like chaos, you know. Like I thrive in the mud. I thrive under like extreme pressure. It's part of I guess it's part of my own trauma, and learning to sink or swim, and I fucking swim, you know. And then like, and so it was really good because I think SGN is a little bit more organized than I am. So as much as he needed me, I needed him just as much to create a book, you know, and to, you know, cause here's the part, bro. It's like, you create something, but what comes next? You know, it's like, we want people to read this book, you know, like, what's the point of having written such a like dope book if like it's gonna sit on our shelf forever? And no one's ever going to be able to experience it and and hopefully become a part of their journey where they self-transform, right? So like in the totality of like writing or creation and then creating it into a product, like you know, we don't always have uh like if you're just like a messy person and you're like a full-fledged just creative person, like it's going to be very challenging to be able to share that with the world. And hey, maybe you are that like chaotic creative force, and maybe you don't care if the world gets to see your art. That's perfectly okay. I'm with that, but I wish the world could see it, you know. So yeah, meeting up with each other was like super important. And we went through a lot of back and forward, bro. Back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. Like, hey, that's good. Hey, that's not gonna cut it. Hey, rewrite this. You know. So you do have to be able to be a strong individual, because I think it takes more strength to not trip out on somebody when you're being positively critiqued, versus like, you know, thinking you're the shit and having this big ass ego. You wrote something that you thought was dope, but it's really not that dope, or it can get better, right? So I think that our bond allows us to be able to share that information with each other without feeling attacked. And in general, I don't really feel attacked by a lot of people, because in general, I really don't care what a lot of people have to say or think. But depending on the person, I guess it might be a little bit stronger.
Mm. We were talking. I think it was Chris the Thrillist during the podcast where he has his group around him and he'll show them the song, and they're 100% honest with him and say like, "Yo, this is trash." Like, what? Like, I know you could do better. I like in a supportive way. It's in a supportive way, and yeah, just being honest 100% and being authentic. It's dope that and also the balance of SGN being more organized and J Flow, you being more I guess you would say sporadic or chaotic in a sense.
Hey,
Bro,
when your homies were listening to the, I'm sorry, when your homies were listening to the mixtape, they were like, "We ain't making it out the hood."
Nah, bro, that's real though. Like, Jesus is right, bro. I think I believe in the power of community, bro, and collaboration. Like, I firmly believe in the power of collaboration, and I think something that truly allowed this fool to come to fruition was our humility, bro. We were both very humble about it, I think. Speaking for myself, like there was times where, like, you know, I had to take some feedback, and it was like, okay, yeah, like he's right. This is too long of a chapter or whatever, right? And or I would give Jesus some feedback, like, hey, bro, can you expand over here? And it was never like, nah, bro, like this chapter's fine, like, you know what I mean? It was never like you're tripping, dog. Like, it was always like, okay, cool, like, can you say more about that? You know what I mean? Can you elaborate on why you think this is that way? And then we would talk it through, and what I realized is that, nah, bro, like this is not just a homie, this is not just a friend. Like, now we're becoming like business partners in a way. You know what I mean? Because we're creating a product, right? We're creating this product that we're gonna put out to the world, and then we gotta sell it, right?
Yeah.
We gotta sell it. So it was really cool, bro. It was really cool, and I think the collaboration aspect is what has allowed the book to just grow and evolve and spread out beyond our like understanding. You know, like the book has made it to Australia. It's made it to different high schools. It's made it to universities. It's made it to even penitentiaries. You know what I mean? It's made it to community groups. And at this point, like, I think it goes back to the, like, I believe in God. Even though I'm not like a church going super religious person, I do believe in God. And I believe is the power of like you see God working in mysterious ways when you put something out there that's not just about money. You know what I mean? Like, you don't write a book to get rich. You feel me? Like, people know that, like, that's not the way to get rich, right? Like, there are other ways to get rich. Writing a book is usually not one of them, unless you are like J.K. Rowling or something like that, you know? So for us, bro, it was like we saw all this pain growing up, we experienced all this trauma, and we believe in the power of healing. So we are like healing centered foods. So how can we create like a healing centered text that's relatable to people from the hood? And that was kind of like our offering to the world, right? Our collective offering to our community specifically. And when people hit us up, bro, when they'll DM us like, yo, like this chapter made me cry, or I really like, I started going to therapy, bro, or this and that, bro, that to me makes it all worth it. Like I made a difference. Like, thank you, God. Like I impacted a life. You know what I mean? Like we inspired someone to be a better brother of men, whatever the case may be, right? That to me, bro, is what it's about. Like, what can you do for others? It's an act of service, an act of love. And so I say all of that to reiterate the fact that it happened through collaboration. Like, we put our egos aside and we created something that was bigger than us. It's not about us. It's about restoring and healing our communities and helping others.
Mm. Dang, and you know, after writing the book, and you'd had prior experience with publishing and stuff. So how was that process of just distributing and getting it out to stores and stuff?
Bro, I can take that one. That process, well, Jesus knows full well, like it's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. Like it was just a lot of research, because we are independently published authors, and we did that by design because we wanted to retain our IP. And so we own 100%, collectively we own 100% of the This Food, Seven Less Burros and Bag Chasers, Elote Books, and Churro de Burro brand. And so that process was, it was just mostly doing research, reading articles, watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and it was really determining what distribution channels we wanted to utilize, right? Like, since we don't have a publishing house, a publishing house, like a corporate publishing house pushing our product. So it really came down to putting it on KDP. So if you're looking to publish, for any of your listeners out there, Kindle Direct Publishing is the Amazon-owned platform. So all you need to do is have the different formats, the different editions. You need an ISBN number, and you just upload all the logistics on there, and they handle all the distribution on their end, like the distribution, shipping, packaging, and all that. So that's one avenue. But then we discovered that there's another entirely different avenue called Ingram Spark. And Ingram Spark focuses specifically on independent bookstores. So something we did not know is that indie bookstores won't buy from Amazon. Mm. They don't mess with Amazon on any level. So by publishing on Amazon, by having only a KDP account, we basically locked ourselves out of indie bookstores. Indie bookstores, they were kind enough to tell us, like, well, if you guys set up an Ingram Spark account, we can mess with y'all. So we're like, all right, bet, say less. So, we have to invest into that. It took a little bit of money up front. We set up the Ingram Spark account. So now we have literally nationwide, worldwide distribution, and we don't have to ship a single book ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, man, that's how it goes. But it took a lot of work, dude. But you could do it. You just got to be willing. Like, I mean, you're a podcaster, so you know the editing process and the grind, right? Like those late nights. You just got to be willing to put in the time. But like now, like, all we do is like literally, dude. As long as you have a dope product, like a dope book, a dope story to tell, you put it out there. You can sell it without lifting a finger. Like that's literally passive income for us at this point.
You know what's interesting is that if all that time, all that grind, at least for myself, with the podcast, going to the gym, going to work, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like gratifying. It feels self-gratifying. Just being able to do the podcast and have people tell their story, and share their story. So it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, bro.
That's probably because you're walking in your true path, and I wish more people can experience that. And part of that path, bro, is not being a hater, and instead you're being a supporter. So you're multiplying energy, right? Versus like envy. Envy blocks your blessings, bro. You're not only helping others, but you're helping yourself. And so how could you not feel a sense of good when that's what you're doing? So going back to that point, bro, is like doing what you're born to do on this earth, or what you came to do here, or even if you're not like a spiritual person, like biologically speaking, you have a purpose. And everybody does, right? Whether the simplest, like maybe perhaps making more children, or experiencing like the pleasures of life, right? And it seems like you have your purpose, bro. You found your passion, you found your purpose, right? And you've turned it into play. There's 3 P's right there: passion, purpose. It's not work, it's play, right? So when you got those 2 P's, you get the third P, play. And I just thought about that right now on the spot.
Hey, that's a bar right there.
Hey, you better coin that, bro. Drop that in the next book. Call it now, bro. Today I want to introduce the 3 P's framework.
Hey, you know what's funny about that is that there's 3 P's in Spanish, which is puro pinche party, which means pure motherfucking party. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, absolutely. Like Branden, bro, like we love connecting with fools like you, bro, because you really embody that mission-driven mindset, right? That passion for what you do, where, like you said, it does not feel like work, because you are living, like Jesus says, in your true purpose. You have a mission, and every day is one step closer towards that mission, right? Every day you're taking one step closer to that 1,000-mile journey, right? Like that Lao Tzu line says, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? And so that's how I see it as well, bro. And I think we're very blessed to be in a time where, like, as messed up as things are, I think, like, economically and politically and all these other things that we can look at and say, like, are bad at the moment, we are very blessed to be in the technological era, bro, where, like, I'm at my house right here in the San Fernando Valley. My boy Chewy's in some park in South Central. And you are right there in Oxnard in your studio. And we're building, bro. We're building, like, we're working towards putting some knowledge, some content out there that will hopefully impact a life and make the world a better place. How beautiful is that, bro?
Beautiful. You know
what I mean?
Beautiful, yeah. Yeah, and like you said, just being able to reach people. Like, imagine just being back when we weren't able to do that, like on a smaller scale. It's like so easy to do that now.
Yeah, literally. All you need is an internet connection, dude. And the ganas. The word ganas in Spanish means desire, right? And I always tell my homies, like, even my students, or if I'm in a position where I get to influence, like, let's say, like, a hiring decision or like a collaboration decision, the number one indicator or distinguishing characteristic that I look for is ganas. I always ask my team, like, hey, bro, do they have ganas? Like, do they have the desire to win? You know, because you can be the most skilled person, but if you don't have ganas, if you don't have drive, you're not going to make it happen in the trenches. You know what I mean? And I think about that a lot, like that desire, bro, like that desire. So,
it's interesting for myself, doing a lot of just self-reflection. That drive came through, like you guys said, through a lot of trauma and through a lot of pain. I feel like growing up, childhood, it's like, for me to experience that, it's like I don't want to be in that position. So how can I better myself so that, you know, this generational trauma can stop with myself, and it wouldn't be passed on, you know, through generations of, if I ever have kids. And it's like you said, go through a lot of trauma. I do think that good stuff can come out of that.
Absolutely, bro. Like one of my favorite quotes is like, your trauma is your superpower, right? Utilize it as your fuel, right? And so I think that's what I often share with my friends and family. Like they always ask, like, dang, bro, like, where did this book come from? Like, what? Aren't you a teacher? Like, aren't you like wait, you're writing books now? Like, what? And I'm like, it comes from my pain, bro. I'm hurt, you know? Like, and that's really what it is. I firmly believe that, like, if you've listened, like, for example, to, let's say, Good Kid, Mad City, right? Or you listen to Pimp a Butterfly, or you listen to the documentary by The Game, like all these rap albums, or really like most songs by Tupac, right? Like, what is the common theme? It's pain, bro. Yeah. Fools are articulating their pain in hip hop lyrical form because, well, number one, drama and pain sells, but number two, it's a very compelling human need and emotion, dude, for us to address our pain. And unfortunately, we live in a society where, as men, especially men of color or men who grew up in the hood, like, you're not really allowed to talk about your pain. You know what I mean? You're not really, it's not really facilitated. It's not really like, oh, it's okay, Angel, just cry it out, bro. Cry it out. And then we'll go out for some ice cream or whatever. It's not like that, you know. It's usually like, bro, why are you crying? Like, it's not a big deal. Get over it, right? Yep. Or like, you don't need therapy, you need Jesus, right? Or you don't need therapy. You just get a broom and start sweeping. Like, you're just not busy enough. Like, that's what they would tell you. At least in my culture, it's like, oh, you're not busy. That's why you're thinking about depression and anxiety. Because if you were busy, if you were occupied your mind more, you wouldn't be thinking about that. Meanwhile, the kid is like in emotional distress, you know, not knowing what or who to talk to. So for us, we decided a long time ago, like, we're not going to be perpetrators of emotional abuse, you know, much less like verbal or physical abuse, right? We're just not going to be perpetrators of that because it's whack, dude. You basically, you can forever scar a child or a partner, you know, when you engage in that behavior. And then you have a person basically not being their true self. That's what I tell people. Like, I literally learned this, bro, trip out. I'm tripping out about this right now. I'm going to share something trippy with you guys. Maybe you guys are healed or deep enough into your journeys that you already caught this gem, but I just caught this like a month ago. So I used to always be like, man, I don't want kids, bro. Like, what the hell do I want to have a kid for? Like, that fool's gonna suffer like me. Like, that used to be my mindset, right? And I used to say that, but then I didn't really believe it. You know, I'm like, no, I want to have a kid, right? Like, it was that like angel devil inner debate. And one time I was reflecting, and then someone came to me in search of some advice. And the advice I gave them was advice that I hadn't even given myself. I told them, hey, bro, like, the fact that you don't want to do that tells me that you're living through your trauma. What do you mean, fool? What do you mean? I'm like, you're basically determining a future outcome based on your trauma by saying you never want to have a kid. So you're making the assumption that because you had it fucked up, you're going to replicate the same fucked up thing to your kid. So you're not even being truly you, your healed self. You're living your fucked up self life right now, and you're planning for that. And then the dude was like, what the fuck? I never thought about it like that. And I was like, oh shit, like, I never thought about it like that. Like, by me saying, like, I don't want to do this because I went through this, I'm living through my trauma. You know what I mean? I'm not really living through my most healed self. And that's a crazy realization, at least for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like if I keep telling myself that, no, bro, you're going to be a bad dad, I'm basically banking on myself being a loser later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
Manifesting it in the now.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
That's fucking dope, bro. My boy SGN will always get you with the deep shit. Hey guys, my phone is literally about to pass away. So I want to give my respect to you, Branden, for being you, for leading with your heart, with your spirit, man, inviting us into the crib, having a cool conversation, man. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to continuing our dialogues, our growth, as a human family and everything together. I'm very grateful for this conversation. I will be going now. I'm about 1%. Much love, peace, power, prosperity to everybody, man.
Okay. Before you go, where can people find you and Foos Gone Educated?
So y'all can holler at me at jflow_323, and you could definitely hit both of us up at FoosGoneEducated.
Sheesh. Appreciate you, and thank you for your time, bro. Like and just yeah, man. I look forward to continuing growing together as well.
Sounds good. Well, we'll stay tapped in. Take care.
Yeah.
All
right. Later, J Flow. Yeah, bro, that was my bad. I forgot to tell him to be at home during this interview, and I do want to offer you an apology on the podcast
worries,
for
bro.
that.
You're good.
We're typically a little more professional, you know.
It's all good, man.
So, yeah.
Hopefully the next one we can do this in studio somehow, because I'm in Oxnard.
You're in Oxnard? Oh, that's not too far, dude. For whatever reason, I thought I Googled 80 when you told me something about like, are you near the 805? I don't know why I Googled like 805 area code, and I guess like San Luis Obispo or something like that. So I was like, yeah, but maybe I input the digits incorrectly, but I was like, dang, that's a mission. I'm like, I don't know if we can make that drive, but Oxnard isn't far at all. That's like an hour and a half, right? 2 hours maybe.
About like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. We actually have a week off in October, so something to think about, or in the future. It doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, dude. Actually, so I think it's in December or January, we're gonna get a new warehouse to work out of, because that right behind me is the homie Blue. He's a producer, and we have another guy, Angel. He makes rugs, and he's really good, dude. He's
okay.
He's good.
Yeah, no, that's dope, bro. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like we definitely want to keep building. You know, we want to support you as well. You know, let us know how we can support your podcast. You know, I'm definitely tapped in. You know, I listen in. I give it a like on Spotify, but I don't know, whatever it takes. You know, let us know, because I think sometimes as creatives or creators, it's important that we I don't want to say train, but that we coach, I guess, our audience on how to support us, right? Like it doesn't always have to be monetarily. Like you don't have to give me money or donate or buy stuff. Like you can just listen in or double tap or comment.
Share.
You know? Share, exactly.
Yeah. No, I feel that, man. And also I feel like it's building like you said, a giant either family or giant network of just people that we can just reach out to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I really wasn't really, what's the word? Like I wasn't really adept at. Like it was more like, okay, like here's a book and let me just go pitch it to bookstores. But now I'm realizing like, no, you need to, like, it's important to build a community around what you do, right? Around like-minded individuals, really. And eventually, bro, like the whole process is just like, I don't know if you follow Gary Vee, but like he's really big on like the whole like, just love the process, bro. Love the hustle, man. Like just love the hustle. Like, and I'm like, nah, that fool's right. He has a point, because eventually, like nothing's going to like, I don't know if you have, I'm sure you do, like you have that one episode that like blew up or something, or that has like way more views than the others.
I do,
right?
yeah.
Like in the
It's one of the
algorithm.
I don't know if you know Topper's Pizza, but I did a Topper's Pizza review, and that
I
that was
don't.
a beautiful, amazing pizza family owned restaurant
Okay.
in the 805. And if you do come, you have to try it out. It's amazing.
Okay. What is it called again?
Topper's Pizza.
Toppers Pizza.
Toppers, Toppers.
Oh, Toppers Pizza for sure, bro. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like so your Toppers Pizza episode, right? Like, I'm sure you must have been like stoked, right? Like it's almost like a dopamine hit. Like, whoa, like people are watching this. I can't believe it, right? And then
Yeah.
it's like that feeling, dude. I feel like you only capture that like once. You know what I mean? Like that first video that goes, or like for us, right? When our book went live, right? Like even if we write, like when we publish our second book, our third book, etc., like of course it's going to be gratifying. Of course we're going to be grateful. Of course we're going to be excited, but nothing beats that first time. You know what I mean? It's like that night before Christmas feeling, you know?
Well, fuck, who was it, dude? I think it was, I want to say 2 Chains, or fuck, I forgot who it was, but he said that he's like, yeah, man, I'm scared of getting a hit. I'm scared of getting a hit song because once I do, it's like I had to keep that going. Like I had to like keep going.
Right. You got to keep chasing that, right? You got to keep
Yeah.
chasing that. And of course, like that, like I don't know if you've heard that Jay-Z song, my first song, I think it's called. It's like my everything. It's like treat my first like my last, and my last like my first, and the ever. Anyways, that's a new mindset that I try to have. Like, okay, like how can I go into this with like a fresh set of eyes, with some fresh energy? Like it's still day one. Like Jeff Bezos, I know Amazon gets a lot of critique. So, but anyways, like he has this thing where like he for many years he would say to his staff, to his team, it's still day one. And this dude's a billionaire. It's still day one.
Oh, dude, that's next level shit.
You feel me? Like it's
Yeah.
like for Bezos to be like, it's still day one. Like I'm still in day one. Like I'm, you know, like we're like in day 0.5 if he's in day one. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh shit. All right, man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna end this podcast here, and I really appreciate your time and fucking this whole conversation, dude. It was a great conversation. I learned a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, Branden. Thank you so much for having us, bro. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your platform, and yeah, we look forward to building with you, bro.
For sure. And for your personal Instagram, and then Jesus and yours, FoosGoneEducated, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, definitely. So people can find me at Scholar Gamer Nerd on Instagram, and I also co-facilitate the FoosGoneEducated page on Instagram. We're very active on those. So those are the main 2 platforms.
For sure.
right.
Thank you, man. And hopefully, yeah, soon we could do this in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just
we'll stay tapped in.
coordinate.
Yeah.
We'll set it up. Thank you, bro.
All right. Peace out, bro.
Peace.